So I'm Nicholas, for those of you who I've not yet met, and my wife Dorothy and I run a small organization called Jerusalem Peace Builders, and I used to spend quite a bit of time standing right here. It's wonderful to be back, and I want to thank your rector, Peggy, for inviting us to be here with you this morning to share the Word and see if we can connect Jesus' Word with Jerusalem Peace Builders and our own call to action here in the United States in our lives. So, a lot of conflict, frankly, in our readings, right? Jesus gets accosted because his hungry disciples are walking through the fields and grabbing the heads of the wheat to eat them. You're not supposed to do that. Someone gets their hand healed. You're not supposed to do that. And poor old little Samuel, right? He's probably 10 years old. He's got to tell his boss he's out of a job, right? I mean, I remember having to do that as a young deacon. I got the short straw and had to tell the then Peter Lee, Bishop of Virginia, the heavyweight champion bishop of the Episcopal Church, that he was fired. I needed a diaper, right? It was scary. It's scary telling your boss he's out or she's out of a job. It's a lot of conflict. And despite a lot of rhetoric we have in the church about, telling the truth to power, we like to avoid conflict. It scares us, and it should. And we also have these ideas that, conflict or being in conflict is sinful, and we're all supposed to be happy, shiny people, always perfectly, at one with each other. I don't even feel that way about myself. How can I, But we take this on. It's like part of our culture. So, we're going to take a look at conflict today. But I want to start us off not in a boardroom with Peter Lee, but in Gaza. So one of the privileges Jerusalem Peace Builders has these days, along with working with young people, is MD Anderson Hospital, largest hospital, cancer hospital in the world, has commissioned us to help them start a cancer center in the Gaza Strip. You don't have to know a lot about the Middle East to know that Gaza's been in the news. It's about 70 square miles, has over 2 million people there, and no oncology, zero, null set. So I'm taking in the head of their department that plants new hospitals. His name's Oliver, and he's got a team. What am I doing there? I'm the fixer, right? I make sure everything goes right. And I know a few people, so I can do that. We go in, it's like something out of Kafka. You go in, you go through this scary checkpoints, 3 checkpoints to get in and 3 to get out. We get to the last checkpoint. So it's Israel's the first one, Palestinian authorities the second one, third one is Hamas. We get to the Hamas, and they come up to him, and they arrest him right on the spot. Head doctor. Like, what are we supposed to do? So we let him talk to him for a while, and then the fixer goes in. We get him out, and we were able to go on to work with the hospital, but we don't get his belongings. They won't give his belongings, which is slightly problematic because we're spending the night, okay? He's a big boy. He'll get over it. So we go, we have an incredible set of meetings. We meet with all the oncologists in Gaza, even though they have no cancer center. All the heads and the faculties of the 2 medical schools there, and the heads of the various hospitals, because while the center is going to be located at the Episcopal Hospital, it needs the whole community involved, connected, networked in. Great visit. Great visit. And it's time to leave. And I've known some of the people we've been working with for 25 years, tearful goodbyes. We get in the van, and you have to go at a certain time, or you can't get out. 2:30, the iron door shuts, and if you're on the wrong side, you're on the wrong side. And then, of course, your visa's expired, and you will be arrested, right? One of those fun kind of things. So I'm getting everybody in the van, and we go, and then the driver gets a call, and we have to come back. And I'm like, what's going on? So we go, we come back to the room where we've, 10 minutes early, had all these tearful goodbyes, and everybody looks like they've seen a ghost. And then we're asked to sit down. And the goon squad comes in. Talking about men that are sort of like that big. All in black, right? Black suit, black shirt. And they're the bodyguards for the head of Hamas security. And he invites us to, get comfortable. And he said, I had the man arrested. And I had him arrested because I was convinced you were spies. But we've been listening to you, and we've been following you. We've been at every reception you threw and had someone in every room. And I'm now convinced that you're not spies, that you want to help us. I'm not sure why foreigners would want to help us, but I am now at your service. And he gave Oliver back his suitcase. And we stood there stunned. Here's a person who literally holds life and death in his hands. He's a male. He's a Muslim. He's in a culture where Muslim men never apologize for anything. And he apologized and admitted he was wrong. Really incredible what took place. And it took place because of the effort of showing up. Of showing up and having the encounter. Most effective peace-building work in the Middle East is all about doing just that. Not ideas, not negotiating teams, not news conferences, not blah, blah. Showing up. And the power of the encounter. Doesn't always work, but it most always works. And for that to happen, it's a bit like being an alcoholic or having some kind of obsessive-compulsive behaviors, and I've had a few in my time, trust me. You've got to admit it. You've got to say there's something wrong before something can be done about it. The head of security said, I'm wrong. And suddenly, a connection was made. So that's what we do a lot of in Jerusalem Peace Builders. It was born right here this month, 7 years ago. 7-year-old baby, right here. Started off with 11 kids. This year we'll have pretty close to 150. Started off in one location. Now we've got 4 with 2 more coming up over the next 2 years. Used to just be a summer program. Now we've got programming in something like 15 or 20 Israeli and Palestinian schools all year long. And the best and the brightest out of that are scooped up and given a chance to really get somewhere by coming over in the summer. And many of you have helped make that happen, and Dorothy and I are extremely grateful to you for doing that. So what do they have to teach us? I mean, you're probably saying, I don't live in Gaza, I don't live in Jerusalem, I don't live in the West Bank, I don't live in Tel Aviv. Well, you live in America. It's been a while since I've been here. And one of the things that's happened is there's a whole lot more conflict in our country. And it may be that we're just a little more aware of it, but I think there's more of it. Right? We've got issues around racism, around the treatment of women in the workplace. I know, ladies, that's been happening forever, but at least we're hearing about it now. Same thing with racism. We've got issues around gun control and gun violence, and our ministers here have orange stoles on as awareness of gun violence. I mean, I've almost given up watching TV because of the vitriol between, the Democratic and the Republican, yin and yang speaker that they have, And there's not a lot of sort of showing up for each other in those conversations, right? They're just like attack dogs. Yeah. So we need some help too. We need some help. If you're thinking and nervous we're going to talk about politics, we are not going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about us. We're going to talk about leadership. So, 3 things I want you to take away. First is these young people, these Israeli and Palestinian and Armenian kids that live in the Holy Land, teach us time and again. The first step is admitting and accepting that there's conflict. Just own it. Just own it. Make it the new norm. May not be a great new norm, but it is. Accept it. And when we accept it, we also accept that God and Jesus are working in it and through it. It's just kind of like air. It's there. Accept it. And do your best to get away from those thoughts that we're all supposed to be these little happy, docile sheep, all kind of going the same direction. Because it's not happening. Not yet. Accept conflict, and part of that acceptance is not accepting an unearned peace. You got to earn peace. You got to work at it. And these young kids, time and again, keep on saying to us, go deeper. We're nervous to take them deep. That's the only place they want to go. They don't want to avoid conflict. They've already accepted it. They want to go where it matters. Accept conflict. Second, be quick to listen and slow to judge. Quick to listen and slow to judge. That should be on every news program, right? When we seek out people who are different and hold different points of view than we do, deliberately seek them out. These young people show us, time and again, that when you do that, the first thing you're going to learn is that your stereotypes about other people are wrong. And that while they may hold different points of view, they are human beings just like you are, with most of the same needs and wants. Accept conflict, be quick to listen and slow to judge. And the third piece, you got to hang in there. You got to hang in there. Dorothy and I were just traveling to a funeral, and it was just after that horrible Monday about 3 weeks ago in Gaza when 60 people were shot and just thousands wounded. It's just awful, a day of hell. And people were like, oh, how's it going? How's your work going? Getting anywhere? Sort of ha, ha, ha. And my answer to them was, what do you expect? This is going to happen overnight? No. It's taken us 70, 80 years to get to this point. It's going to take a long time to grow out of it. You got to hang in there. You got to hang in there here. Right? Hang in there for those tough conversations about racism or violence or the treatment of women or how we treat young people, how we treat older people. The list goes on. And it's not going to go away because we avoid it. We've got to accept the conflict, be quick to listen and slow to judge, and we've got to show up and hang in there. Look at our friend over the altar. That painting is there to remind us that Jesus hangs in there with us. And He's there in those difficult conversations. So, I probably talked too long already. Remember going into Gaza. Admitting we're wrong. And showing up. And accepting conflict. Listening before we judge. And just keep on showing up. Because one of the things that Jesus shows us on the cross and does for us every day is reminds us that Christians are called to go where other people can't go and to go where other people won't go. That's leadership. Resolving, transforming places of conflict. I went to military school for a while. Studied Middle East security. And there was a chaplain. And he used to say something every morning. And it was this, and I'm going to leave you with it. He said, God never asks us why we sin. God always asks us, why are you afraid? We don't need to be afraid anymore.